Good morning. Welcome to Mornings with the Focus. Happy to be back with you guys. A fun weekend of sports. Last night, national title game on the women's side of things. It was a fun game. If you're a South Carolina fan, if you're a UConn fan, things did not go as you would have liked. But to no surprise, the best team in the country won the national championship game. South Carolina dominated UConn en route to a second NCAA title in 5 years. They last won in 2017. I think the win came over Mississippi State. It was a wire-to-wire win for the Gamecocks. They were also the 12th team in history to go wire-to-wire as number one in the AP poll and get the job done and finish the job the right way. They went 14-0 against teams in the top 25 this season. Again, just sharing this as a reminder that they've been here all year as the best team in the country all year. They've lived up to that all year. So last night wasn't a surprise. The matter in which they dominated, it's how they're built to play. And Connecticut was always going to struggle with one of the biggest strengths of South Carolina, and that's their size and depth up front. As for last night's game, though, South Carolina set the tone early on the defensive end. But before we continue, it's Monday. Got our guy Mike here. Mike, I was just getting into it, just setting the table for folks in terms of what happened last night.
Man.
Thank you for joining. We appreciate it as always.
Appreciate you, bro.
No problem. So, like I was letting folks know, last night, South Carolina set the tone on the defensive end via Destiny Henderson. At the point of attack, the size and depth in the front court heavily pushed this game in their favor. Again, Connecticut fans, is going to take monumental efforts from all of their guards. And their bigs were going to have to play and have an outer body experience to tip the scales to make it, a fair fight for them. And this is just being honest. But best team in the country all year. Best player in the country all year. This is how those things are typically supposed to be. The best player in the country, Leah Boston. 11 points, 16 rebounds, and 11 points. It really undersells what she did on both ends of the floor because she was legit the biggest deterrent. UConn, once they were able to get inside, she was the one shutting the door. No, like you're here, but this is where it all ends. Whether I'm blocking the shot, altering the shot, and Lord knows if you do get a shot on the rim, you're not getting a second opportunity. Destiny Henderson, career high 26 points. Heck of a time to have a career high. Continuing the tradition of, the post players get a lot of love under Dawn Staley, but her point guards, Harris a few years ago during that title run. You got Henderson this year.
Mm-hmm.
Zia Cook added 11 as well. But it was the glass. All right. Plain and simple, it was the glass. They dominated the glass 49-24. UConn had 24 total rebounds. South Carolina had 21 offensive rebounds. Now you tell me how you expect that
to work out. You can't win like that.
You can't.
You can't win like that.
You can't. So for me, I'm just kind of waiting to see if Boston decides to return for a senior year to see if South Carolina is going to try to run this back, or if she tries to enter her name in this month's WNBA draft. And some people may or may not get slid down quite a bit on their mock drafts, because if she says she's coming out a year early, you just gotta, you don't even have to redo the mock draft, just slide everybody down a spot. Me personally. Not
I
trying
would
to
love
be mean.
To see it in this thing,
I'm sure you would. Not gonna lie, for personal reasons, I wouldn't mind covering her as a member of the Mystics. I think it would be great. But a heck of a college career. As for the UConn side of this, look, they're still one of the best programs in the sport, but they haven't won the title since 2016. As far as their standard goes, with how they win, they haven't hit their mark in 6 years. For another program, 6 years, that's nothing. Oh, you won a title within the last 10. You're doing good. UConn standard, it's bleak out there. It's dark right now. And as of right now, and just being honest, it's South Carolina's world. It has been since 2017. It's just a matter if they finish the job or they don't. You had Asia. Here's Aaliyah. Bro, we saw the type of depth they were bringing off that bench. Kiki Rice is on the way. This isn't going to stop. So for teams in the sport, You know how Connecticut came on the scene, kind of changed things, how things were going to be played, how the terms of engagement or the rules of engagement rather. South Carolina's throwing down the gauntlet. You better have outstanding guards that are ready to fight, and you better be 4 to 5 deep in the post to have a chance. You at least need 4 to 5 warm bodies to have a chance, and you need 2 of those 4 to be good enough to wreck shop with what they have. And that's just that's what it is. But your thoughts on last night's game, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like you said, this kind of set the table for me for potentially the next few years. Honestly, like this felt like one that was a start for Don Staley's dynasty, like Geno's dynasty, right? Like this felt like, and I don't want to be dramatic about it because like 11-0 now 11-1, that's hard. Like nobody's gonna be able to replicate that anytime soon. Like it takes time to do that, and we have to see it. But man, like my immediate thought was, oh, UConn, they got Page, they got AZ, like they could be right back here next year. But then I was like, damn, if Aaliyah Boston comes back, none of that matters. Like South Carolina is going to be right back at the top. Like it just man, they were just so dominant, and it was crazy because, like you said, like on the glass, and like UConn's not a weak team by any means on the inside. Like obviously their guard play is what makes them special, but like you got Aaliyah Edwards down there, like I mean that is a physical big, right? And so like you look at it, you just look at the box score and see that disparity in the rebound column, and it's like, what? And then to see Destiny Henderson do such a good job on Page, it's like, bro, like they are just so well coached and so finely tuned that like if they get to run this back, man, like I can't help but see back-to-backs in my opinion. Like and it's early. I'm still reeling off of the championship here, but man, they were just dominant, man. This is one of the more dominant college basketball teams that I can remember in a really long time.
And this is the thing, and again, I am a proud UConn fan or whatever. I'm also just a realist. When they're at that standard, I am besides myself, and I am a horrible person because I'm just not worried about anything, and it hasn't been like that since Stewie left.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the type of when I was just like, I don't care who shows up, it is what it is. I know how this is ending. It just matter how it ends. And like you said, yeah, Connecticut's post players are solid, but this is the thing. And Aaliyah Edwards still has time, in her collegiate career.
Mm-hmm.
But right, it's a different type of talent that like South Carolina players, not to say they're vastly more talented, but they're from a development standpoint, they're where they need to be at. You had Asia, you had Aaliyah, even around Asia, you had other players that, size-wise, oh yeah, they were built for the next level already.
Right.
You had a 6'7" youngster come, as a backup coming in off the bench in this game. Again, like as physical as you wanted to be, they're physical as a team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there are times
different.
I haven't seen Aaliyah Edwards get thrown out the club like that in the paint on a regular basis since the only time it happens is against South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like
she did her best.
And she did her best, but she's 6'3", 6'4", whatever, and that's cool. But against them, man, look, you have to have grown women down there in that paint to be about that. So what I'm interested to seeing is because, like, again, like Connecticut popped up, they kind of changed the way you went about things in terms of like, hey, we're gonna get a bunch of 6-foot guards and wings, and we're gonna do what we do, and there's nothing you could do about it. And this is the other thing, and I've been screaming it privately for a while. Connecticut hasn't had one of those dominant bigs since Stewie left. And right now, while South Carolina's changed, South Carolina's thrown out a gauntlet like, oh, you're going to need at least one of those to deal with all of ours. You're not getting them out the way. So, with UConn and all their guards, that's great. So, yeah, I get something to match up with that stuff in the post. It is what it is. You can continue to make and that's the sad part. Like, I don't want it to be like I'm disregarding or disparaging Connecticut. I'm just speaking from the fact that where if you're on that, I feel like we do this too much. Some of these, in this day and age, like if you're at that level, like they expected to be here, right?
Right.
That's like the Connecticut standard. If you don't get the job done, it is what it is. It's about talking about how to change it and get the job done. Hey, South Carolina's going to be fine whether, Destiny's gone. She's a senior.
Mm-hmm.
If Leah leaves early, it is what it is. You don't have another Leah Boston. But what you do have is a ton of long, talented front court players ready to go. Ready to go. And, they keep recruiting very, very well. So,
right. I was about to say, like you said, Kiki is coming.
Yeah. All you have is this is the thing you might have. And then depending on how Dawn puts this together, where you won't have it that much, because it happened with Connecticut too. You would have these little lulls just when you were waiting for the prize recruits, for the light bulb to click. Oh yeah, superstar. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. But again, I want to make sure this is all about South Carolina, because that is who won the national title game. There are no excuses. And for Connecticut, cool story, bro. You got here. It is what it is. Go back to the drawing board, figure it out next year. South Carolina's not leaving. But yeah, I'm just not one for the, Connecticut, Nobody was 100% last night. It is what it is. All right. Leah Boston was 100%. Saw her wrist wrap. We know she had a bum wheel. That 11 might have been 25. So nothing was changing. Let it go. Just being honest. You'll be okay, Connecticut fans. Life would be fine. I was happy to see DeBerry get in, and Virginia, maybe some things you got to think about, man. You got to go get you some bigs to get title number 12, because Dawn ain't playing. They are not playing at all.
At all, bro.
They wake up with just bigs made for the W, just grooming, ready to go off the bench. Oh, you in foul trouble? It's okay. Y'all go crash the boards, okay? Aaliyah be back in a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Bree Beal. She doesn't always get the love that she deserves. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see what she looks like on the next level. As a defender, she's one of the best perimeter defenders in college basketball, and that's why they're such a complete team, man. That's why it was so hard to knock them off, and that's why when Kentucky beat them in the SEC championship game, I was kind of like, I feel bad for everybody. They got the loss out the way. Now they're going to be locked in and focused on, flying death machine.
They're going to be ready.
Yeah.
They're going to be ready.
Just flying death machine the rest of the way. Just a reminder that the men's national title game is tonight. If you guys like that sort of thing, just playing. It should be a good matchup.
Completely forgot about that.
How could you? Who didn't forget about that? Uzanas wanted to remind you guys that you can catch the game at their Georgia Avenue location tonight or get food delivered via Uber Eats. So enjoy the game tonight. You got North Carolina taking on Kansas, whole blue blood matchup or whatnot. Bill Self, Hubert Davis. Should be fun. We'll see what happens. All right. Second thing we're going to talk about, the inconvenient truth retires hits home for me. So proud of this guy. Didn't get nearly the type of love he should have got, but it's fine, because I had somebody, and the reason this popped into mind, one of my guys hit me yesterday, was like, man, I didn't know so-and-so had this many yards. I thought he was okay. I didn't know he was that good. So my guy Frank Gore is calling it a career. Shout out to Frank the Tank, aka Frankie G, and one of my favorite names again, the inconvenient truth. You don't get that name because it doesn't make sense. What he did just it defied logic. All right, one of the most underrated running backs in recent years, calls it a career. He's looking to sign a one-day contract with the Niners so he can retire with the team that drafted him. So, Mike, I don't know if you're aware of these numbers. I know you know who Frank Gore is. Mm-hmm. You played in the league with, some super soldiers, the APs of the world, and rightly so, they got the praise that they deserved. However, are you aware that he outproduced those guys?
Honestly, yes.
Oh, okay. No,
I'm happy. Yes.
No, I'm happy that you did, because I wanted to ask, because a lot of people are like shocked.
This dude played for, I don't think people realize how many years he played for, though. Like, because he started in 05, and it's
pretty much
it's just now retired. Like, obviously, like, he hasn't been like that active in the last few years, but
in his prime, like that 10 years of him being him, I'll just count the Niner years. I don't even count the other stuff. It was different. And kind of just like in plain sight, he accomplished some things and people didn't really care about. Like, the worst part is you saw it because it was on SportsCenter and stuff, but you didn't register it. He was like, oh, look, he had a cool run. Hey, AP ran for 10 more yards than he did this weekend, the highlight was better. Like that was kind of like what it was,
Yeah.
right? So I'm gonna throw some of these numbers up real quick. He's third all time in history rushing yards, 16K. 16K. That's only behind Walter Payton in the second and Emmitt Smith, which I don't think anybody's gonna catch at like 19,000 or 18,000. I'm sorry. He's fourth in all time in yards from scrimmage, 19,985. Fifth all time in all purpose yards, 19,992. And he finished his career with exactly 100 touchdowns. So the reason I'm bringing this up because, people like to do this whole, oh, is so-and-so a Hall of Famer? Da, 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 da. I know what I think, but Mike, just because people are just out here being extremely disrespectful and asking questions like this, this is why this topic's here. Yeah.
Are you telling me people are questioning whether Frank Gore's Hall of Famer? Oh no, that's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Hey, look, I seldom bring things up when it's teams that I root for. Like I just talk off wax about it, but yeah.
Nah, that's crazy talk. I mean, there just are not as many, and like obviously, like you say, like he was never the flashy guy, right? Like he never had the like, and I'm not gonna say he never had great runs because like Frank Gore, if you look at highlight tapes, he had some really really great runs, but I feel like because he played on the West Coast, because he wasn't Adrian Peterson, because he wasn't LT giving you the jump cut. He would just give you a stiff arm or run through somebody, and it wasn't that sexy. But like it was great and it was productive. And the other thing about him that I feel like me personally, like something that I appreciated as an Eagles fan, like anytime you get a running back that can catch the ball and do something with it, like I really appreciate that because like that's what I grew up watching with Brian Westbrook and Frank Gore was one of them dudes who like. He ain't look like, if you threw him the ball out of the backfield, like he wasn't gonna do too much with it. But nah, when he get that ball, man, like he had hands, and when he get the ball, it was a wrap, man. It was a wrap. Frank Gore is nice. That is definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, like I said, I just want to bring it up because folks were just shocked. Oh, he has that many yards. When did he do that? I don't know. The whole time he was his team's sole source of offense on some bad teams. Him and Steven Jackson were over there, having strongest man in the world contest of carrying their franchises on their shoulders while nobody was watching out west that entire time. But shout out to Frank Gore. And yeah, man, it's a surefire Hall of Famer. Y'all need to relax with some of this nonsense. All right, look, so the Lakers just don't know how to stay off my list of topics. They just find a way to do it. Time and time again, I try to mind my business.
You can't talk about South Carolina.
I mean, we could probably end with South Carolina again, just to kind of like cleanse the palate, because these dudes, it just doesn't make sense. Like I literally was gonna mind my business, right? And then I saw like a quote, and I was like, seriously? I think you know what quote I'm talking about. But the Lakers fall to 11th after they fall to 11th out west after 129-118 loss to Denver. Coupled with the Spurs win over the Blazers, San Antonio now takes a 2-game lead over those Lakers for the final play-in spot out west. Spurs also own the tiebreaker, which means the Lakers would have to try to find a way to gain not 1, not 2, but 3 games on the Spurs in enough time to take the the final play-in spot out west. Again, I was gonna leave all this alone, let this be. Chuckled, saw it, kept on moving with my day. It wasn't a big blip for me. Then Anthony Davis wanted to speak after the game because typically players do speak to the media after the game. AD said, I think the biggest thing that I think about personally is what we could have been had we stayed healthy all year. What could we have been? Guys feel like, okay, what could we have been if Bron was healthy all year? If Kendrick was healthy all year? If I was healthy all year? You think about those things, we put this team together and it looked good on paper, but we haven't had a chance to reach that potential with guys in and out of the lineup. Your thoughts, Mike?
I mean, that's a wild quote. I just, anytime you're mentioning Kendrick Nunn is the reason why you're not that good, I just feel like you probably weren't going to be that good in the first place. Like Kendrick Nunn, the Miami Heat had Kendrick Nunn, and he definitely didn't play all the time, and he definitely, like, nobody in Miami was like, man, if only we had Nunn. Like, I think they kind of made do without, because You know, he's not. I mean, Kendrick Nunn's an NBA player, so obviously he's pretty good. But like on the NBA scale, he's not that high up. So like, I don't think that. I don't know, man. Like it's that's a wild quote. It's just wild to me that these dudes are not going to make the playoffs. Like, or not the playoffs, but the play in. Like they couldn't even get to the play in standard. And like the talk about this team coming in for it to be like championship level talk, and then for the actual result to be so far away. Like I don't know, some folks need to get fired over there, man.
Who do you recommend?
Everybody, no. Shoot, I would. I mean, honestly, like for me, it starts with Rob Pelinka, man. Like I just don't. You can't build a roster like this and expect it to work. I think. I mean, we talked a bunch offline before the season about how none of these pieces quite fit together. Like you got Rush, you got Braun, and you got AD, and those are Hall of Famers, but they don't necessarily work well together. And we just watched Russ for a year in DC, and like you really have to cater the entire scheme, the entire system to him for him to be his best self. Like I think Russ was still productive in LA this season, but he wasn't at his best without the system being catered to him in that sort of way. And we saw the same thing in Houston. So it's like now you put him with LeBron, who also needs the ball at all times, who also has to have the ball. I just never saw it work. And if I non-GM could see that this wasn't going to be the best fit, then I'm just not sure why Rob Pelinka couldn't. I'm not sure how he got LeBron to talk him into not doing the Buddy Hield trade because they wanted Russell Westbrook. And so I'm just like, that happened. Now you gotta go. Like there just needs to be a change, man.
Yeah, no, it needs to be a change, and I'm just one of those people, a little bit old school, where all year, everybody was just screaming at Vogel, and I'm like, hey, I know y'all always get mad at coaches about each and everything in the world. What coach is gonna do what with the roster where everybody needs the ball?
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody can play without the ball on this roster, except like Austin Reeves. And not to be funny, just literally that's the one person who can go about their life and be effective without being on ball the entire time. Everybody else can't live without it. So, like you said, when one of them has the ball, you think the other four are moving? Nah, two of the other four are not moving anywhere. They just waiting. Like, all right, you got the ball. You done? Can I have it back now? That's kind of what it is, right? And, people get enamored with the numbers that are being accumulated, and numbers matter, whatever, and that's cool. But this was sad for all parties involved, and especially the players. This was not okay. There was no reason for you, even with all the injuries, to not make the play-in. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Denver, and I'm trying to figure out how.
Yeah, I mean
that just no.
That just doesn't work as an excuse. Like you got Denver, who hasn't had two of their three best players all season. Like they've been playing like Jeff Green big minutes, and Jeff Green's fine, but like that's not a guy who you would think you should be playing big minutes. Like that's not a big minute guy. Like and their roster is filled with folks like that. You go to Memphis, like John Moran has missed what 22 games from there.
20-2 without him.
Yeah, like come on. Like good teams are going to be good regardless.
And again, in Memphis, it's not like there's that other Hall of Famer to step up and be like, "Oh, we're fine." It's just a well-built team, and going in one direction, it kind of goes a long way. And I saw like people the other day were like, "Well, Brooklyn's in 10th." Look, man, no disrespect to respective situations. Choices were made, and that's why Brooklyn's in 10th.
Yeah, that's just chaos.
Like, that was just pure chaos in which they chose, and they clearly were fine with the chaos. That was a choice. What happened in LA, they did that on purpose. Like planned for that and failed miserably. Like none of that made any sense. So I don't know how they're gonna go about fixing it. It's none of my business. But yeah, that quote was wild, and it's why I ended up on my list of topics, but I was supremely offended deeply by said quote. Like, how dare you?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like just looking back on it, I guess you say that this has been a successful Lakers stint with AD because they won that first title, and like I guess that's really all that matters. But like, man, these last 2 years have been very disappointing, and that is like the softest way to describe that. Like I just don't. The way forward for them is not going to be easy, and I think it's making a bunch of cuts that there's no way Russell Westbrook's coming back, and there's but it's like if Russ is not coming back, it's not like they still have money to spend for players to trade. You don't have a draft pick, like you're gonna draft top 8, and they don't have a draft pick. Shout out to the Pelicans, man. That's wow.
And again, so you open up the door for that. I got a little time to go ahead and walk down that road a little bit in terms of how ugly this can possibly get. So there's a bunch of people on that roster that nobody wants, to be completely honest. So what are you going to do with that? Like it's one thing to be like, oh, we messed up. Let's just rearrange the furniture. Everything can be fine. Like you said, you should have a top 8 pick to try to you could possibly go get a new centerpiece for the wrecked up room. And you were like, nah, we don't need it. The Pelicans got it. And some of us that were screaming the whole time, like, hey, they need to keep some of their youth. You don't need youth. They want a championship. It's fine. Look, man, what my man Mordo say? The bill comes due. We're here. We're here.
It's like you could have at least protected the picks. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like I don't mind.
At some point, you should have cared about protecting some form of the youth, whether it was the actual person or the pick, like you said. And right now, you have neither. So what are we doing? Like, even if you had one of those kids, it's a chance to go get you something else, right? There's at least a chance. But you said you got to move on from Russ. Outside of calling up Presti, who's like, aha, and you're getting got. If they do you a solid, you're getting got. So that means more picks, which means no more youth. Like,
yeah,
about to make an adults only team. Like,
I think Houston makes that John Wall trade. I think they do that.
You think they will?
Yeah, I think they do that.
But again, are they going to do it with? Is this with the pick on the table or not?
The Lakers will have to get something else up. I don't know what else it'll be. So
what's this something else, Mike?
I don't know what else it'll be, but I think LeBron will.
You think cash? The cash consideration is this? How much cash?
I mean, the way that Tillman Fertitta works, you want
to know what? You want to know what? You're right. If that's like MLB type cash considerations,
that's money that's going right into that man's pocket. And look, that restaurant business through the pandemic, buddy, I don't know.
My man said we'll trade you Russ in a bailout plan for John. That's what you say.
I think he might be down. I think that might work.
And I'll play devil's advocate. What if Houston's like, nah, that's on you. That man ain't coming. Like, he's not coming back to these stores. Because that's another side of it. Like, I get the Lakers side of it, but Houston can real life just be like, no,
we're not doing that.
Like, this is the same team with all these young impressionable kids who's like, hey, John, you stay away. What makes you think they want Russ around right now?
Yeah,
they paid John to stay away.
That's a fair point, man.
Like, I know everyone's going crazy, like, oh man, it's the pick. Or they were there the first go round, right? Y'all know they were there.
Yeah.
Maybe they were like, we suck again. Just let the kids grow up.
I think if they do make that trade, Russ ends up taking that buyout. Like,
yeah,
that's where I think it'll go. But I don't know, man. Like, Tillman's weird. They just sat John Wall for a whole season. Like, I have no idea what's going on.
And then and this is the other thing. Like, you got some other teams who feel like they're kind of like a guard away, or not a guard away. Well, yeah, technically like a guard away, right? Those teams might give you the pick happily.
True. True.
So it's like not to knock the Lakers offer again. It depends on that bailout plan they're willing to include with it. You know, if somebody else is like, hey, yeah, you got my first, I don't care. I need the guard. Like, I built my team already. We just got a hole at the one. Come here, St. John. What the Houston would be like, okay, bye, John. And then the Lakers would be like, we're stuck with him again. Like, and it's not even an indictment on him. Like, this is just a messed up situation.
Right.
Like, there were so many different avenues they could have gone, and they chose. Like, we talk about Brooklyn choosing chaos. These guys chose violence. I don't know what they were thinking when they put this thing together and lied to themselves with all these dudes who've never, throughout their career, played off the ball on purpose, and we're fine with it. We're like, oh, it'll be fine because
multiple
they're older.
playmakers.
No, it's multiple shot takers. No, true. I'm not trying to be mean. That's
true. That's like, true.
Multiple shot takers, and the guys that are the other shot takers who don't have the ball, you think they want to move, or they expect to move, or they're gonna all of a sudden do it in years 18, 19, and 25? No. They're not about to start doing it.
He's 56 years old.
Man, it's year 3000. It's even more reason he's not going to start playing off ball now. Y'all got to let this go. Death, taxes, and that man ain't playing off ball. Y'all got to let it be.
Yeah, LeBron's the point guard of every team.
Bruh, like, it is what it is. Like, and the worst part is, it's not like it's a small sample size. We can call it, I don't know, 19 years. I gotta let this be. So you gotta.
It only took Kyrie not getting an assist to just hammer it home.
Man, and even then, you had to have a cold-blooded assassin who was fine, who didn't want to do that stuff anyways,
right?
To make it work. That man was like, "Oh, you'll take the playmaking, cool.
Thank you."
Everybody else is like, "But I'm a point guard. What do I do now?" And that's what I'm thinking. Like, so we about to watch John standing in the corner?
I'm just telling you the solutions that they was looking at.
Man, like, we both like John as much as the next person. Again, John moves without the ball for real.
Nah, that's not him. That's not him.
Just being completely honest, right? Like, so what do we do?
That was the one thing when Wall was in DC with the Wizards, I was like, yo, you could at least cut, bro.
Yeah. Like, and obviously, you're gonna get, a floor general, a true floor general, all the feel you can get, a willing and capable defender, a good shot blocker, all the fun stuff you get with him. But at the top of that list of like minor issues you have with him, he doesn't move without the ball. It's at the top of the list.
It's literally number one.
So again, I don't know what they do. They used to have some guys that moved without the ball and knew how to play without it. They're all on different teams now. And, those teams have no interest in giving up. Maybe go get Julius Randle back. I don't know.
Hey, shout out to KCP for that Dinwiddie quote the other day. We see you.
See you still on that, as always. For y'all that don't know the backstory of this, Mike's been so petty about the whole what's it called, win the trade thing between the Mavs.
It's not. I didn't even want to win the trade, bro. I just wanted them to win that game. I just wanted them to make Spencer Dinwiddie look bad.
I just want you to know that the bar is in where with y'all fan base in theirs. And then the other dude in the trade, I'm like, why are you talking? You haven't done anything since you. Right. Like, you robbed the team with no mask, no gun, no nothing.
You can't even be mad. Like, you can't be mad.
Man came back to his old team, played 12 minutes and missed 2 shots. Like,
you look the same.
Yeah, that looks about right. They're out there like, look at Corey moving without the. Like, again, not to be funny. I made the Austin Reeves joke or whatever. You had a couple more of those, Bron would be in heaven. Oh, you cut?
That would be good.
You catch and shoot? I like those things. I don't know what this was. It was a debacle. It was a waste of time. It is what it is. Just a reminder, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Mike won't be back. I'll be back tomorrow morning. And this week we got a regular installment of Focus TV. Sure, we'll be talking about many, many things. Tomorrow morning, though, we will probably kick things off with the men's national title game. It might, take some time before we close out, tell everybody where to find your work in case they don't know.
Follow me on Twitter at Mike D. Sykes, Instagram at Mike D. Sykes, and I tweet out all my work, so that's the best way to follow.
Yep. And like I said, we're just going to try to peer pressure and guilt Mike into showing up every Monday. So that's the plan here. This is what we're going to try to do. So y'all have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy national championship game tonight. And hopefully we can see if the Lakers don't make another appearance on the topic list tomorrow. That's what we're going to try to hope for.